It's not even a complete lie. More like half of a lie. I used to work in the field of social sciences. But how did Cecile... One of my friends probably couldn't keep his mouth shut. Word gets around, Cecile hears it mentioned somewhere. That's how these things happen. Try and put yourself in her shoes. It's not something you tell everyone. That would just make more people worried. That should sound believable enough. Eloise gives me an understanding nod. I breathe a sigh of relief, look around, and deliberately lean forward a little. I'm not going to tell anyone about what you've been doing, but I'd appreciate it if, in exchange, you could keep my story a secret too. In any case, this is about Cecile's well-being, so we're on the same team. Eloise doesn't reply, but lets her eyes wander around the store instead. She takes in the messy piles of books at the edge of the shelves and the old posters I hung up on the wall. I'd say the first floor perfectly captures the wayward scholar ambiance. And being gloomy isn't exactly something I have to pretend to be. Okay, I promise. Eloise nods in acknowledgement of our little deal. I decide to strike the iron while it's hot. Well, that's good. Anyway, you've already found your way here. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? So far, I've only heard Cecile's point of view, so your help would be much appreciated. Please ask. If there's any way I can help, I will do it. Okay. Hearing Cecile's name seems to make her particularly energetic. I take out my notebook and quickly flip to the page with the most handwriting scribbled on it to keep up appearances. I have a lot of questions, actually. Let's go through them one by one. What should I ask? Ooh, okay. We'll do opinion on Cecile first. What do you think of her? Eloise seems a little baffled and doesn't understand my question. Since you and Cecile spend a lot of time together, you probably know each other pretty well. I would like to hear your opinion about her, from you as her friend. Eloise nods. She fiddles with a strand of her hair and seems to consider her words carefully. Oh, this is the examine. I see. Okay. First off, she's really a kind person. Although she doesn't talk much, she's always optimistic and sees the best in people. She's very calm and never gets angry. I kind of want to see... What does that do? Examine her face. Eloise is wearing a delicate poker face. On a positive note, it doesn't seem like she has any serious injuries. Maybe I should try to approach the situation from a different angle. She find an opportunity and cause a bit of a scene. She's very calm and never gets angry. Even though the attitude towards her is as cold as it is, Cecile avoids arguments and trouble and stays quiet. Even when the others are so mean to her, she glances at me and I can see there's a lot on her mind. On Cecile's first day at the club, I couldn't be there because I had some chores to take care of. When I got back to the studio, I saw a student I had never seen before picking up the practice materials. I was supposed to handle that. It was a lot of work, strenuous work, and the materials had to be treated with care. Since some of the projects were only half finished, she just quietly and carefully put everything in its place. And you said you were supposed to handle that? Yes, that day it was my turn. That's why I even came back from a trip early. There's a lot of risk involved when you let someone new and inexperienced handle the painting. It's easy to cause irreparable damage. I see. So Cecile ripped the corner of the Blossoms painting that Eloise did that got... so the girl said that one of the corners of the painting got ripped, and that's the painting that Eloise did that Lily submitted to the contest under her own name. Okay. With Kronk, it's all coming together. I hurried to help Cecile and told her I'd finish up. I made it clear to her that she didn't have to do this and that it wasn't something the others should make her do. She just shook her head and said it would be a shame to leave these paintings lying around. Silence. I'm not sure what to say. That's the kind of person Cecile is. She makes the best of every situation. Or tell her to continue. However, she's a little too shy and withdrawn. Eloise's tone is filled with concern. Although kindness is a virtue, people will consider you an easy target if you never speak up for yourself. If she never says anything, the people who bully her will never receive just punishment. And by the time she does muster up the courage to say something, it might be too late for that. She'll never get justice that way. The others will never possibly learn that. I said possible in the second round, I read that. The others will never learn their lesson. Nobody will experience any personal growth. That's the worst possible result. That is very true. That's an interesting conclusion. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, but kind of worst case scenario. Sorry, I'm just rambling. No, I agree with you. That last thing said iron but not steel, so I think it's talking about like she's... Let's see. Go to case files. Go to clues. We got the Yukai Cup cheating incident. New stuff. There was a serious case of fraud in the elite art club. The former president's submission, Bloom, was accused of having been plagiarized. She eventually lost the competition. Scarlett discovered a certain watercolor painting in the club's room. It was an amazing depiction of blooming flowers, painted in such a way no one would have thought watercolors could work. The name Lily was written on a corner, and there were signs of serious damage to the painting. Iron but not steel. In the conversation with Eloise, it became obvious that she is very fond of Cecile. However, she also thinks that her friend should be more confident. She thinks that Cecile being too forgiving will have the opposite result. No, I actually agree with you. Let's ask about Cecile's activities at school. Cecile told me a few things. You're a little older than her, correct? That's right. I'm in my senior year now. So I think Cecile's a junior. I see. Then you probably don't know much about how Cecile is doing in her class and what the atmosphere is like there? That's right, but I still know some things. Her class is a so-called preparation class. It aims to attract students by lowering the tuition fee. It has very high expectations and demands rapid progression. I've heard that the head teacher there is very strict. And the teacher doesn't say anything against someone from preparation class wanting to join one of the extracurricular clubs as well. Eloise smiles bitterly. Actually, people from these preparation classes make up the bulk of the club members. I don't follow. It's to project strength, to make a statement. We can pursue our hobbies even though learning is stressful. I assume you're familiar with that sentiment. Many students even sign up for a club on paper, but you never see them in person. However, the guidelines aren't that clear, and with Cecile being a transfer student, maybe the teacher just doesn't care. So while her classmates were stressed out and learning at home, Cecile was one of the few who actually participated in club activities. I sigh and shake my head. That explains why many of them don't get along with Cecile. I know it's not a nice thing to say, but I think many of them have severe issues. It's hard to imagine the pressure they're under, but it's the reason why many of them have a really short fuse. Okay, now let's ask about within the art club. How was Cecile's performance at the art club? Performance? Well, she wasn't familiar with many of the techniques that the rest of us were taught at a young age. I guess, thinking about that now, they've been kind of, it's like a pipeline of private school to private school, so it kind of does make sense. Like, it's very close-knit. So I guess it makes sense. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But she's a quick learner and she's doing really well. She has a lot of potential. She's very eager, and I'm sure she has a bright future ahead of her if she seizes the right opportunities. How well does she get along with the other club members? Eloise frowns. This seems to be something she's concerned about. I wouldn't exactly call it harmonious. According to what she told me, they want her to leave the club. You could say that, yes. It puts her under a lot of pressure. Your studio rarely gets new members? That's true. It's not easy to join. After all, it represents the school to the outside world, so there's an image to uphold. The admission process is strict, even for senior students. But a transfer student got a spot. Many departments underwent personnel changes, and the new teachers did say they were planning on making the process a little less demanding. Cecile submitted her application after the recruitment campaign in September. She was one of the first chosen under these new, more relaxed guidelines. That could be why the others are so harsh and unwelcoming towards her. Eloise looks sad when she talks about the situation. It's my fault. My failure. I'm the person responsible for the relationships between the students, and it's my job to handle differences within the club. Ooh. Wiggle, wiggle. It's so odd. Sometimes I just accidentally hit it, and I'm like, oh. It's so silly. Don't beat yourself up. The situation could be worse. Okay, now let's ask about the art competition. Cecile mentioned an event, a sort of competition called the Yukai Cup. You seem to be taking it very seriously? It's an art competition sponsored by the Provincial Young Artists Association. So he hasn't done his scene yet. He said he has to cause a bit of a scene to get a response out of her, right? He hasn't done that yet. Our school always participates. It's somewhat of a tradition. We always score really well, too. Sounds as if it's something very important for the school's image and reputation. Are students forced to participate? Not officially. But if you're part of the groups that regularly win, you're somewhat forced to keep participating. It's a vanity thing. And are you one of those groups? Are you in one of those groups? The girl smiles tiredly. I'd rather not be. The competition between the schools is fierce, and I'm afraid it's been deemed much too important. They've turned it into a really serious thing, even though it's supposed to be a fun event. So the adults battle it out through their kids. This year's theme was suddenly changed from watercolor to oil painting. That doesn't normally happen. Everyone's on edge because of that. Sounds like it's not being easy being part of the Star Club. A Star Club. We're just trying to uphold the club's reputation. The competition is becoming more and more troublesome every year, and there's a limit to everything. At the end of the day, nobody cares about what it does to the students. They don't care about our feelings. It's all just one big silly fight for glory. I don't think it's something to be proud of. It's wasted energy. I deliberately look over Eloise's shoulder towards the store door and try to imagine my ex-girlfriend suddenly standing there. Huh? Why did you come here? No matter how calm she appears to be, Eloise still seems nervous. She hurries back to confirm the identity of the bookstore's supposed new visitor. Of course, there's nobody there, but this gives me the perfect opportunity. I try not to make a sound as I give the momentarily distracted Eloise the once-over. However, it has always been obvious that this girl's modest exterior is as impenetrable as an iron wall. Also, digging for details won't help if there's nothing to be found in the first place. Sorry. I just saw a kid by the door and I thought it was my nephew coming over to play. Do your relatives live in Mato too? My sister and I came here a long time ago. I'm just trying to make a living, but she's leading a much better life than I do. We're both doctors, but being a proper doctor for internal medicine like her seems to be more popular than what I do. Let's get back on topic. Eloise has very strong opinions, and she stands by them. That's my conclusion after asking her so many questions. She is calm and composed and can back up all of her arguments with logic. She has a very mature way of thinking, something that's probably uncommon among her peers. Still, this girl with her perfect posture, good manners, and high intellect doesn't seem to have many friends. We've been talking for over 2 hours, and yet she mentioned hardly any other students by name. No wonder she cares so much for Cecile. She has somewhat of a protector's instinct and just wants her to do well. I'm sure that from a psychological perspective, trying to maintain order among the students while standing in the crossfire between them and Cecile is taking a toll on her. You've been a really big help. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. The girl humbly bows her head. Let's not forget that she was stalking Cecile. But even so, she's shown nothing but sincerity. No, I've completely lost track of time. Is that going to be an issue with your school? Eloise follows my eyes to look at the clock wall, and can't help but smile bitterly once more. I guess that's all we can talk about for today. I'll come back some other time. She bows a little and turns around, ready to leave. But why'd she ask about that book by name? How did she know about that book? Why that book? You know? That never got answered. We never talked about that. Things are going really well. I should make use of that one more time. Say, Eloise. What is it? Eloise stops and looks over in my direction. Concerning your and Cecile's after-school practice, could you put that on hold for a few days? Huh? For a moment, there's tension in the air again. Eloise throws me a puzzled look, filled with more than just confusion. That might have been a little too direct. I don't want to overstep any boundaries. I have to say something. Oh, okay, I can barely read this text. Assume the role of psychologist. Insist on having more life experience due to your age. Show that you care about Cecile, or avoid the topic. I think either showing that we care or leaning into our role of psychologist is definitely going to be most effective with Eloise here. For our own good, the truth about getting along with people, that doesn't seem very useful at all. Like, I feel like that would be unrelatable and uninteresting. Like, that doesn't sound good. It's nothing. Why would you do that? Okay. Cecile's mental state. It's a hard one. Okay, we'll do the psychologist. I mean, Cecile has been under a lot of stress lately. She has to act responsibly to deal with these problems and sort out her current situation. It won't help if you're not around for that. You have to make time for her. Sure, if you think that's best. But I'm not so sure she'll agree. Why is that? He said, I think... Wait. What did he say? Could you put that on hold for a few days? That means stop it. But then she's like, okay, well, I should hang out. And then he says, well, you should spend more time with her. And then she's like, well, I don't know. Well, I'm just not sure if she's even still interested in hanging out with me. You said it yourself. We've been under a lot of pressure lately. I had the same thoughts last Tuesday, too, but Cecile didn't have time to meet up with me. Yeah, that was when she came to the bookstore, right? Is that our first day? Maybe not. First day in the game. She said that she had other things to do and was busy. I'm trying to think about what she could be busy with. Maybe she just wanted to draw, paint, practice, whatever, without having to use the lilac grass, if that's like a peer pressure thing. That struck me as strange, and then I find out she was alone in the studio. I have no idea what she was doing there. I pressed the button again. It must be hard for you, too. Everyone goes through tough times, right? The whole thing is just weird to me. As her senior and her friend, she should be able to share her problems with me. I just want to help her. I give her an understanding nod. Please take good care of her. Eloise nods once more and smiles at me. Then she leaves the store.